This is Starcast, the official podcast of your Billingham Stars. Watch and listen for the very latest news and interviews from within the Big Red Machine.
Evening all, welcome to episode 7 of Starcast, the official podcast of your Billingham Town Council sponsored Billingham Stars. We'll talk about that little edition in a moment. Pleased to be joined as always, Carol and Jono are alongside me to talk all things from the Big Red Machine. Carol, Jono, evening, how's things?
Evening, yeah, very well.
Evening, slight domestic next door, otherwise all good.
Sounds interesting. That can be in the off-air edition of the podcast. Just as I mentioned off the top, the title sponsorship, Carol, that kind of came about back in last week. Obviously, the Town Council have been a supporter for a couple of seasons, but kind of firming up that relationship, and it's great to have Billingham as a kind of community team, and that council recognising that with the sponsorship.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and older fans will no doubt remember this isn't the first time that we've had that sort of community involvement from the local council. Back in the day, if you're going to show your age, you'll remember that the Bombers were once had shirt sponsors from Stockton Borough Council. So it's nice that the community is supportive of the local team, and great to see Billingham Town Council back on board. Yeah,
and we obviously thank them for their continued and extended support, and I pity the announcer every week that there has to say all of the sponsors. So we've got Billingham Town Council and the can't even remember it now.
Clifton Lodge Vets.
Clifton Lodge and the Puckstone and the
Pound.
Salamander Pumps. It's Salamander Pumps. Tesco Man of the Match. It's all too much for somebody's brain. But anyway, as it is this week, we'll talk about Sunday's win over the Sheffield Scimitars. We look ahead to an interesting double-header weekend, the results and tables from around the NIHL North, and any other business as it comes around. But in a change to our normal format, as we look ahead to next weekend, we go to Hull Arena on Sunday, the chipspice.com arena by the river there in Hull. And we're pleased to be joined on the podcast, Andy Daintith and Mike Roddy from the Hull Jets. Andy and Mike, thanks for joining us this evening.
No worries.
Thanks for having us on.
Pleasure is all ours. Andy, if you could have a perfect month, September for the Hull Jets is pretty much it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great start for us. Nothing that we didn't really expect, to be honest. I think the team that me and Mike have built is a fantastic team. It's full of youth, experience, and hopefully it'll continue. We haven't played a good 60 yet, but I think it's on the card shortly. As I say, the results have come. It's a great team, great atmosphere, and the guys are really, really bonding. So it's probably the best Jets team I've seen as of up to this year. Probably the best team we've ever had.
Sounds ominous for the next opponents you have, whoever that may be. Mike, the recruitment from the summer, you keep a lot of the core together. You've added a couple of pieces, and importantly this season, you've been able to win games on the road, which has been huge.
Yeah, definitely. That was a bit of a noose around our neck last year. I think it was a standing joke with some people on Twitter whenever we played an away game. But we've retained the majority of players from last year. We've had a couple of new players come in. The one thing we got caught out a bit with last year is we went with a small squad by choice and by design. But the minute the two-way players were up with the Seahawks and we ran into some injury issues, we were scrambling for bodies at one point last year. So we've got a bit of a bigger squad this year, and plenty of competitions for places. And yes, looking good so far anyway.
Yeah, and as we come down on Saturday to Hull Arena, the two clubs almost very similar. They've got the Division 1 team, they've got the Division 2 team, which is a recent addition. lot of focus on youth and development, and the kind of ethos of the two clubs is very similar, Andy.
Yeah, you always get it with certain teams and certain clubs. They use a lot of the backing of obviously the juniors and stuff, which we've always used. This year will be no different. We always have 5 or 6 players usually training with us on a Wednesday night, and keeps them in focus on what we are doing as system wise. And then obviously it aids them, so when they can jump on with us, they understand. But Billingham is exactly the same. I know a lot of players from the Billingham area. And it bodes well for both clubs, I think, to be honest, especially when you have a Div 2 side also. So you have got that pathway from juniors right up to seniors. Obviously, we've got the Seahawks above us, which is another great thing for us. So our club and I guess Billingham are exactly the same. They're just thriving at the moment, which is great for both clubs.
Yeah, and you've got the guys going up to the Seahawks as well, not just on a 2-way, but you've had that permanent move. Was it Cohen Taylor most recently, the latest addition to graduate, and that relationship and the carrot of the national division must be huge for the Jets.
Go on, Mike.
No, it's all right. You go that one.
Well, I think Mike's going to say probably exactly the same as me. We would never stand in the way of any player that we believe is ready to play the next level, ready to get the ice time. And Cohen's been with the junior system right throughout. I think he was he's same age as Ethan, so he started at a very, very young age. He's worked his way right through the ranks, and now he's playing for the Seahawks. And like me and Mike said, we would never stop anybody. All it does is it opens a pathway for somebody else, which it has done. So, it's great for us that players are getting used at that level. It just shows you how well we, as a junior club and as a system, we're actually doing. We're producing lots and lots of players, and it's going to continue on.
Yeah, excellent. And I say that Stars similar, that they're kind of reaping the benefits. Carol, Jono, anything for our guests?
Yeah, I just want to jump in a bit on last season and going into this season. You mentioned earlier on it was a bit of a standing joke, your road form last year. Your home form, I think it was only 3 games all season. You lost at home. So what is it you got to change to get that turnaround for the away games?
It's a lot of small details, to be honest with you. So if we take Billingham, for example, just little details like where the D change on the bench. I think the first time we played there, we didn't realise like how far into the defensive zone the players are changing. So as we learn, like from rink to rink, certainly at senior level, and I guess as well, like just adapting your game a bit more. Like obviously on Hull ice, we can play fast flowing hockey because we've got lots of time and space, and then you go to the likes of Solihull and Whitley, and the crowd are literally on top of you, and you've got to find different ways to win. So it's been very much like last season, a learning experience. We all have to look again, like using Billingham as an example. We got absolutely taught a lesson in the cup when it was 12-1 or whatever the game finished up, and then we managed to ruin your title party back at Billingham, and that for me was probably our best performance of the season when I think we beat you 2-1. So it has been a learning experience throughout, really, and it's quite positive so far this year that we didn't win last year in Whitley, and we've took points from there. We didn't win last year in Solihull, and we picked up 3 points there as well. So to say it's these little learning all the little nuances and having to adapt to be able to play the teams when you come up against them.
Yeah, so into my next question, so bringing it onto this season, you've made some outstanding signings and you've started the season very, very well. How do you keep it consistent in the changing room? You don't let the lads get above themselves, because at the moment you probably are battling for the title with 2 or 3 other clubs. So how do you manage those expectations now? Because you will get a few lads thinking, yeah, you know what, we can go on and win it this year, especially with the signings that you've made.
It's all everything is just game by game at the moment, just taking everything game by game. We haven't had a full squad for any games so far this season. Like the Whitley game just gone, we were missing 3 of our top 6 forwards, so we've not had that consistency of the same lineup. Obviously having lads on 2 ways. I've actually just come off a call with Matty Davis from Seahawks discussing who's where next weekend. So a lot of it's just in terms of like managing expectations of players and keeping everyone grounded and just taking each fixture one game at a time. This weekend coming up, we've got 2 massive games. Billingham, we had some real good games against last year, and they're probably title favourites along with Blackburn. And then Nottingham last year, I think out 3 of the 4 games with Nottingham last year went to overtime, but they've also a side that's improved massively. Just looking at the Blackburn result the other week.
Yeah. Carol, do you want to come in?
Yeah, Jono alluded a little bit there to expectations, and you've come in this season and gone to 2 of the most difficult places in the league, in Solihull and Whitley, and come away with not all the points, but most of the points. That must really puff the chest out and fuel the ambition. You didn't make the Final Four for playoffs last season, but you must secretly have an eye on something.
I think what, like Mike's just said, we go game on game. We have got such great experience in the changing room and stuff, and we've both always said we go game on game. We look at every game, every weekend that we come across, and yeah, people keep telling us all that we're favourites and all this. At the end of the day, if you don't turn up and don't play, you don't win. And we've got a roster that we think's capable of winning games. So let's just see at the end of 36 game season, see where we are. But we want to be, we've always said we want to be in the top 4. That's our game. That's our goal this year. There's too many good teams in this league. And as I said, if you don't turn up, and we didn't turn up in the first 2 periods in Whitley, then we turned up in the third and we won the game. So if you don't turn up, you're not gonna, you're just not gonna win games. And there's too many teams are getting too skillful now. There's the depth in some of these teams is just absolutely crazy for this league. But it just shows you how good this league is. And as I say, last year was a really good starting point for us. We didn't think we'd do as well as we did, and we did fantastic this last year. This year, me and Mike said we want to finish top 4. Hopefully, we can do that. Hopefully, we can achieve that. And I think the guys that we've got and the signings that we've made, with the juniors and the seniors, we should be there or thereabouts. But let's just see what the end of the 36 game happens.
Yeah. Well, this weekend, as I say, Saturday at the Hull Arena. It's kind of a Hull Billingham doubleheader. We've got the Bucks down there at lunchtime against the Sharks, and then the Stars later on against the Jets. So, what can we expect on Saturday? Obviously, it's the bigger ice. We've had the first game of the season last year. You won, and then we won down there to clinch the title. 2 very different kinds of games, but what can we expect in terms of the kind of game we expect possibly on Saturday?
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a really good game between 2 really good sides. Last year, I think we played 6 games. I think it was 3 wins to Billingham, 2 wins to us, and 1 draw. So it don't get much closer than that. I think the 2 sides match up well against each other. Fozzie's obviously going to have his game plan going into the weekend, and we'll have ours, and then let's see who's the winner after 60 minutes or 65, or depending on how it goes. But looking forward to it. I think it's should be a great game.
Yeah, no.
Me and Mike have always said this season it's about enjoyment every single game. The roster that we've built, we should be enjoying every single game. And the guys know that. The guys believe in that. And sometimes the guys are speaking out in the change room about things that they want to improve on. And that's great because they want to get better and better. And like Mike said, players are fighting for positions on for lines and stuff like that. Someone's missing, someone else will just jump in. So I think this weekend's going to be interesting, very, very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you've both alluded with the league. The league has taken a step forward. So every weekend the games are competitive. They're worth watching. They're entertaining. There's good hockey. So we encourage fans to get around to Hull Arena on Saturday. If you can get there for both games, it'll be a well worth a double header. But if you get there for the Stars and the Jets, and of course you've got to call into the Rink Cafe for the chip spice. It has to be mentioned. But look forward to Saturday. Mike and Andy, appreciate your time tonight on the Starcast, and we'll catch up at the weekend.
Cheers. Thanks for your time.
No, thanks very much. Take care, guys.
Cheers. So thanks to Mike and Andy from the Hull Jets. We'll try and do something like that ahead of most weekends. See if we can get somebody from our opposition on here on the Starcast. We'll keep talking about Hull, and since we've just had the guys on. It is this weekend. We'll talk about the Sunday game shortly, but a huge double weekend for the Stars, Jono.
Yeah, it's absolutely massive. And I think it's been made even bigger with the start that Hull have had. It's been an incredible start. They've won in two of the most difficult places, as already mentioned. They went into Solihull, and won 6-1, which is, well, that's an eyebrow raise straight away. I think it'll be an absolutely fantastic game on Saturday, to be fair. I think they are two very even teams to the point of skill-wise. I think they're both set up very similar in the way they want to play, attacking hockey and control the offensive zone. So it should be very, very interesting. And I think the game will be won with whose netminder steps up biggest, I think.
Yeah. And their home form, Carol, it's continued from last season. It's the big ice. They're used to playing there. And it's something that obviously we conquered at the end of last season, but starting afresh, and they're the informed team to go against.
Yeah, their confidence is sky high, and why shouldn't it be? They've as I've just said to the two guys there, they've gone into the two most difficult places probably in the league to go and get anything, and defeated Solihull and Whitley, and being, if you're going to be brutally honest, they said they didn't turn up until the third period in Whitley Bay. But when they did turn up, I mean, Whitley had pretty much had Ryan Wardell to thank for keeping him in the game for the 60 and taking it to overtime. So then they've turned their invincible home form into a very, very credible away form. And yeah, it's going to be tough Saturday, really, really tough, and for anybody to go to Hull this season and get anything is going to be it's going to be tricky.
Yeah, well, we'll look forward to that. I said that's Saturday evening, as we said in the interview. Books are down there at Saturday lunchtime. So if people do want an afternoon or an evening in Kingston upon Hull, then I'm sure Hull Arena will be very grateful for the patronage. And I say, just if you do one thing in Hull Arena, try the chip spice. Here endeth the message. We look at last weekend just gone, back at home for the Billingham Stars, and it was the Sheffield Scimitars came in on Sunday. They haven't actually announced it, but they did have a new coach behind the bench. Steve Weeks was leading them, taking over from Mike Zalossi. We'll see if they do anything on formal announcements in due course, but sorry to see Mike stepping aside. But on the game, Billingham started early, dominated pretty much from start to finish. 8-2 was the final. Period scores of 2-0, 3-1 and 3-1. Final shots on goal were 65-16, which shows the dominance. Goals for the Billingham Stars. Conor McNulty and Ian Brown scored 2 each, and others from Chris Sykes, Rollins Grittans. That puck would still be travelling if the net wasn't there. Michael Elder and Callum Wilkinson were the goal scorers. Steve Brown was the referee, and to borrow a line from A View from the Bridge, he is the best referee in the Northeast because his mum said so. She did. She's a Newcastle fan. She used to tell everybody. Anyway, enough of that. Thoughts on Sunday, Carol?
I feared for Sheffield when I saw the team sheet, to be fair. They were always going to be up against it, I think, coming into the forum. But when they turned up with 3D men, I thought, oh, God, this is going to be a really long evening for them. And to be honest, that's how it turned out. I mean, if it wasn't for Matt Croyle, who always stands on his head against the Stars, if it wasn't for Matt Croyle, would have been a cricket score. There was never any shadow of a doubt about that result. The pleasing thing, again, a little bit like the D-side game actually, is that we were pretty ruthless, didn't show any mercy, kept going till the very end, and which was pleasing. But yeah, Scimitars, I find it quite hard to judge on that performance because As I say, they turned up very short-benched, and playing 60 minutes against us with 3 D-men, ouch. They must have been pretty tired when they came off the ice.
Yeah. Positives from the Stars performance, Jono?
Yeah, the big positive is the mentality that we went into the game with. It's easy to look at a Sheffield team of over the years and thought, yeah, we're going to win this, and how many is going to be by. But yeah, we went in with the right mentality. We'd lost the previous Sunday quite badly in the third period, so it required a response. It required the right attitude. And to be fair to Skims as well, last weekend, although lost both games, they did put up a performance in each game. But unfortunately, when you saw that short bench, it was just cannon fodder, really.
Yeah. And I say from the goal scorers, obviously good to have Conor McNulty back in the lineup. Set on a play by Michael Elder for the first, and being in the right place at the right time for the second. Ian Brown, the laser beam for his first one, small penalty shot, which we've seen on the video on social media. And then the other guys, again, Rowland's, as I mentioned, Rowley's shot from the blue line. If the net wasn't there, that would still be travelling up the A19, I'm sure. Again, just some nice goals we've scored.
Absolutely, and again, I think we've all said it. It's nice to see that mentality of just keeping it going, and not taking your foot off the gas because of the circumstance that your opponent finds themselves in. Really, really good to see. And you're right about those goals. Both of Conor McNulty's were awesome setups. And Ian Brown, he can't miss at the minute, can he? He's come out all guns blazing this season, and all power to him. Long may it continue.
Yeah. Fantastic segue, Carol, the media supremo that you are. The post-game interviews on Billingham Stars TV, we spoke to the coach, we spoke to the man of the match, Conor McNulty, as always, but we also had a chance to speak to Ian Brown, first time in his second season in the Billingham Stars. So we'll have a listen what Ian had to say. Billingham Stars TV on a Sunday night. Delighted to be joined by Ian Brown, who's returned to us this season. We haven't really caught up with you since you've come back. Ian, how's the season 2 going so far?
It's great. I mean, we're on a roll right now, right? So can't complain. Guys are all firing on all cylinders, so it's been good.
Obviously, we know last year didn't end how we wanted for yourself with the injury. Just talk us briefly how you kind of rehabbed over the summer.
So as soon as I got home, basically, I had 7 days off and went straight into work. So my job that I had was really good. So I was getting basically free physio doing that. I hired a personal trainer as well. We worked a lot on my shoulder. So I can't thank him enough for all the tips that he's given me and just to stretch it out and more mobility in it. So he's got me stronger. So all thanks go to him.
And then coming back with the Stars this season, you seem to have kind of come back with a point to prove, and it's clicking on the ice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously not the way I wanted to end last year. It was pretty upsetting. It was depressing at some points as well, But yeah, they took away half my season, so I've come back with a little bit of revenge, if you know what I mean. Just trying to help the boys get a championship at the end of the day.
Yeah, and like you say, last week possibly a little bump in the road, but so far the results going really well, and the team's pretty much the same team from last year, but it's gelling and shows they want to improve even on last year.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've added a couple great guys, like Connor, for example. He's been lights out for us, so that's always a big help. It just gives us more depth down the lineup, so couldn't be happier to have him.
Yeah, and we mentioned going into next weekend, obviously, Hull are the possibly surprise leaders, so we know how strong they are at home. And then next weekend, next Sunday back here, we've got Solihull coming into our barn. That's going to be huge.
Yeah, those are 2 tough games for sure. Against Hull, I mean, we just got to stick to a game plan against them. We got to play a little bit more defensive in that rink against them because it's a big ice pad there. So I think we'll be able to manage them no problem. Solihull, I think, you know what I mean, it's at the end of the day, I think they got off a little lucky in the third period down there. It's always hard to play in their barn there and whatnot. And so, I mean, we'll be here, and we usually always have good results when we're at home. So we're looking forward to it, for the challenge for sure.
So yeah, heard from Ian there, and the line that kind of stuck with me was they took away half my season, and I'm got revenge. And the way he started this season, he means business.
Yeah, he's
very
playing
much.
catch up.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I think he probably had his eyes waking up a little last year, especially with the rate that Rowley was scoring at. I think he probably did expect to come in and be the main guy scoring all the goals, and saw Rowley blitz everyone away scoring goals, and so he's come in this year. He knows what he has to beat, and he knows what he has to do, and I think he probably has a mentality of "I'm your man" when the chips are down.
And that line, living with, obviously he's living with the Shuggy as well, but the chemistry between them, and it's starting to pay dividends on the ice, Carol.
Yeah, absolutely. The strength of our forward lines actually is quite something when you look at them. I think Foz might have alluded to it in his interview. Do we actually have a top line at the minute? I'm not sure we do. We have 3 exceptionally strong forward lines at the minute, and Ian and Shuggy's partnership there on the so-called second line is absolutely there to see, and it is really quite something when it all clicks. We just need to get it to click this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Anything more on Sheffield before we move on? Kind of job done. Look at the next weekend.
Yeah, it was just about professional performance. Go and get it done. Obviously, we're a team that likes to entertain, and they did that with the goals that we scored. But that one's ticked off, and it's onto the big one this weekend. Big ones this weekend.
Indeed. Just before we talk about next weekend, quick look at last weekend's results and the league table as it stands. Last weekend, Sheffield on Saturday, Sheffield lost 1-4 to the Nottingham Lions, the rejuvenated Lions. And then Sunday's schedule, again, as we're talking to the guys, Whitley Warriors 2, Hull Jets 3 after overtime, Billingham 8, Sheffield 2, as we know about. Witness Wild 2, Leeds Knights 7, first win in the division for Leeds Knights, Division 1 team. And then possibly the biggest game of the day, Blackburn 5, Solihull 3. So Solihull take another loss, just as they're supposed to play Billingham, so they're going to be upset again and come in with a chip on their shoulder again. Thanks, Blackburn, as always. Anything on the results? Right.
No, to be fair, I think everything went as expected, as I thought it would go. Maybe not the magnitude of the Leeds Widnes game. I thought that might have been much closer. But no complaints with any of the wins. To be fair, when you were looking at the results on Sunday night as they're going through, I think Whitley were winning 2-0, and I've raised a few eyebrows. And I think the Hawks were actually 4-0 up against the Barons at one point. So that raised a few eyebrows. But no, pretty much status quo is what you'd expect from the weekend.
Excuse me. League table then, before we talk about the weekend ahead. So as I said, Hull Jets, 6 games, 6 wins, 1 in overtime, so they have 17 points. Billingham second, 4 wins and 1 loss, they have 12. The Warriors have 10 points. Nottingham Lions, Blackburn Hawks have 9, Solihull have 6, Deeside have 6, Leeds have 3, and Widnes and Sheffield are 9th and 10th. Just leave it at that. The league table, obviously, it's still teams playing different numbers of games, so it'll even itself out. The cup still probably not worth looking at because the games are so sparse. Whitley are winning our league table, but again, they've played Nottingham and Sheffield twice. Anyway, so we'll look at the cup table in the next couple of weeks. So this weekend, as we spoke to the guys already from Hull, we're in Hull on Saturday, and then Sunday, the Solihull Barons come back to the Forum for a repeat fixture from a couple of weeks ago. And we spoke about it in a couple of the post-game interviews. We kind of owe them one back on our turf, Carol.
We do. Interesting that Ian chose to refer to the third period as them getting lucky. That's quite an interesting way of describing it. I think Solihull were good value for their win the other week. However, I do think a lot of that was Billingham playing particularly poorly rather than Solihull being any better. So we do owe them, and if we are anywhere approaching full strength and firing as we were on Sunday, I fancy us to get our own back a little bit on Sunday. However, that said, we do need to be careful of that top line, and we've said it how many times, and we said it before the away game. Solihull's top line is their trump card, and you ignore them at your peril.
Yeah, no, 100%. And Jono, it would be good to have our regular 5 or 6 D-men on Sunday to deal with that threat of the top line and allow the forwards to do their business at the other end.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if we're at full strength, we win the game hands down. If we were at full strength, it could be another repeat of last year where we won 6 or 7-1. Because I just think our forward lines, we have 3 scoring lines now. We've improved on last year without having a top 6. We have a top 9 now. And I just don't think Solihull's defensive netminder will be able to live with us. That being said, they do have that top line. I mean, I got a text off one of my mates in Blackburn this week going, Jesus, that top line is good, but my God, do they double shift? And sometimes that's going to play against the Barons, I think. The fitness will only be there for so much, but we've got to make sure we shut it down properly and we use those other 2 lines to full advantage to attack when not shutting that top line down.
Yeah, I mean, they probably can double shift. It's only October still. It's still early in the season, but if they're double shifting right the way through the year, when it gets to February and March, they're going to have a hell of a lot of mileage in them legs. So we'll see how they're.
And that's the only reason why I don't have them down as a title contender. I think you just can't do it with one line, I'm afraid. I think Hull learned that way, and I think Blackburn Hawks have learned that way and strengthened those areas.
Yeah, no, sounds good. And Solihull, like I say, previously probably haven't travelled as well, but they seem to have kind of sorted things out this year, and they do seem to be travelling in decent numbers. So we'll expect a fullish strength lineup on Sunday at the Forum, and as you both alluded to, we'll need to be at our best both ends of the ice and get the Forum faithful backing us as well. So it's 5:30 on Sunday. Solihull, the visitors for that one. Anything else on next weekend? Anything? I haven't looked at the fixtures, Jono. I know that's your domain. Anything else next weekend taking your fancy?
I've not looked at a look yet. But no, I think it's both of our games, to be honest. They'll be the standout fixtures for the weekend. I think they're both certainly the ones to watch.
Yeah, Saturday's top of the table clash, as we heard from the league table, and Sunday, although Solihull are only, did I say 5th or 6th? It's still early days, and as teams kind of even out the games, and so we've lost 1, Solihull have lost 2, Blackburn have lost 2, so it'll start to even out over the weeks as it comes. Any other business?
Yep. Keep your eye up the road on Sunday. A certain Mr. Grigors is back, and I think that's one to watch out for. I'm certainly curious to see how he fits into that lineup, and I'm also curious to see the reaction they get. So yeah, one eye up the road on Sunday.
Yeah,
I still stand by the fact that they need him.
Who the Warriors got Sunday?
I'm just looking now. Where's the Warriors? Home versus Widnes.
It's a nice. I was about to say nice, easy one to ease in with, but there are no easy games. Widnes, they're struggling at the minute, but you just never know.
If they turn up with 12, they've got no chance.
Yeah. No, that's. I mean, obviously, we said when he signed, we were sorry to lose him through the circumstance. So I'm pleased he's going to be getting back into action. Obviously, 4 games this season. We don't wish him well every other game we do. Got to see him back on the ice. Jono, from your side, anything going on this weekend?
No, podcast is being recorded tonight, so hopefully out for Friday for the weekend. Bit busy personal lifetime wise, so getting it edited is a bit of a pain in the butt at the minute. But yeah, it should be out ready for the weekend.
Life getting in front of hockey, that's just not on.
Nope. People need to realise.
It happens. That's it. Well, if there's no other business, we'll remember it's Hull away on Saturday at the Hull Arena. If you're going down and see the Bucks play at 12:30.
12:30, I think.
Against the Kingston Sharks, and then the Stars up in the afternoon, in the evening. So if you're going down to there, travel safe and travel and support the Big Red Machine. Sunday, 5:30, Forum Ice Arena, Stars versus the Solihull Barons. Get there in good time. Let's see a big crowd supporting the boys back in action. And that is it for this edition of Starcast, the official podcast of your Billingham Town Council sponsored, Billingham Stars. Just rolls off the tongue after years of practice.
You can point to it now as well. It's there.
It's on, yeah. Everybody point to Jono's shirt.
Yeah.
It's at the top of the screen.
Yeah.
Make it a bit bigger for next week, but we'll sort that out in the post op, as it were. Carol, Jono, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
As always, we'll see you at the weekend. Thanks to Mike and Andy from Hull for joining us earlier on. Hope you enjoyed Starcast. If you do the usual like and subscribe thingy, all of the usual stuff across social media, get us out there as much as we can, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you for being part of this episode of Starcast, the official podcast of your Billingham Stars. Remember to like and share this episode, send a review when you can, and follow us on social media for the very latest news and to find out when the next Starcast will drop.